I'm Kevin, and I'm going to show you what pushing through can do for you.
This story starts around 2 months ago when my long-term partner and I split up after being together over a year and a half. It would probably be boring if I went into detail about this, as I have nothing but good things to say about her, but I think you get the picture. It sucked. It sucked enough that I made a video about it, and to make things even better, I broke my favorite camera while making that video.
I crashed my drone and the gimbal is broken.
Driving home after mailing my drone to the repair center the next day, I discovered that the radiator in my vehicle was blown and my vehicle was overheating. It was bad timing financially, and just when I thought my string of bad events was over, I ended up with an eye infection that got misdiagnosed for 3 days, allowing it to fester worse than it needed to. 2 years ago, this all would have sent me right into 40 ounces of vodka, followed by throwing in the towel on my goals and progress. At this point, I was 1 month away from hitting 2 years of sobriety. It felt like a test. I passed the test, and within a few weeks, my eye was healed thanks to antibiotics, my repaired drone arrived back in the mail, and my amazing friends put a new radiator in my vehicle for me. It was time to celebrate by heading to explore some new hidden gem waterfalls in the backcountry. While this trip was refreshing after my rough go wasn't actually over. At the end of this trip, I managed to crash my drone again, but this time it fell into water and sunk 20 feet down to the bottom of the river by the waterfall. I tried to dive for it for a while, but the water was icy cold. Between feeling like I was starting to get hypothermia, running out of physical energy, and running out of daylight, safety became more important than recovering my drone.
Anything stupid where you push yourself too hard, it's not worth your life, right?
I left it there, with all the footage from that trip on the SD card inside the drone at the bottom of that pool.
Get out of here, I'm kind of pissed.
That was actually the easier thing to swallow that happened on this trip. Getting back into town, safely thank goodness, I discovered that this vehicle I bought back in January was no longer road safe and also not repairable due to a blown shock tower and rust that had been eating away at it. My only option was to sell the vehicle for a fraction of the cost that I bought it for. Now, only 2 weeks away from hitting 2 years of sobriety, I was actually starting to believe that this was all some crazy test. It felt like I had lost all my motivation, energy, creativity, and drive. I fell out of my routine and would essentially start the days that followed scrolling social media, which to me is easily the most unhealthy way to start my day. I felt blank. Dead inside and incapable of getting anything done or maintaining healthy habits that support my recovery from alcoholism. Somehow though, no matter how tested I felt, I managed to push through any destructive thoughts or feelings. There was one habit that I managed to stay committed to in all those dark days and weeks that I think was my lifeline. That was journaling. It gave me clarity on just how dark my thoughts were becoming at times and allowed me to kind of study my thoughts and actions from the outside in a way. I didn't want to remember this as a time where I gave in or gave up, and honestly didn't like some of the stuff I was writing down. It portrayed an attitude I didn't want to connect my self-image with, and I think that's what granted me the strength to give one more solid push to try to fix anything I still could that I still had any control over. If I tried and failed, writing that down in my journal would be better than what I had to say most of the time lately. It had been a week since that trip that got my vehicle and drone. I was headed back to Little Nitnat Falls, but this time armed, and with an army. Oh, and a positive fucking mindset too.
Okay, here goes nothing. Method number 1, the magnet. Just gonna have a peek. I can see it. Really? Yeah.
After 20 minutes of trying, I had the drone in the tips of my fingers and managed to let it slip out of them, probably due to excitement.
I had it in my hand first try, and I lost it. Now it's in the cave.
Now, the drone had been pushed by the current just inside an underwater cave area, and I could no longer drop my magnet and rope directly down on top of it. Again pushing through, We paddled back to the beach to grab a broom handle I brought so I could try to direct the magnet and rope further into the cave area.
Oh, she's protecting him. Are you protecting Basil?
Sometimes it's hard to see solutions to difficult problems in our lives. It's also easy to forget how much support we have in difficult times when our loved ones see us doing our best with what we have. But that topic deserves an entire video, so stay tuned for that and subscribe if you enjoy this type of heartfelt content.
Alright, so while I'm happy that the drone is back, here is the big test. All of my drone shots at Carmana Walbrand. It's pretty hard to get these shots because Carmana Walbrand is not an easy place to get to. It's a lot of drone footage. It's working. I get all my files back! The $100 SD card lived underwater for a week. SanDisk, thank you very much. Alright guys, so while it's amazing that I got my drone back, was able to recover all the files off the SD card, I'm now getting a replacement drone for $50 US as opposed to like $700 US. None of this is what's most important. The most important thing here is what this does for my future self going forward. I can now think back to this experience and remember that I pushed through, remember that I made the outcome a little bit better than it could have been, and that'll make it just a little bit easier to push through again when things get tough. I hope this video has given you guys some motivation to push through when things get tough for you. We'll see you guys all next week for more waterfalls.